What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of Player Ratings as Spurs lost 2-1 to Aston Villa at Villa Park yesterday, which continues the catalogue of embarrassing away performances for Tottenham Hotspur. And let's start off with Fraser Forster. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 6. I thought he was our best player in the first half, keeping us in it at times where it could have been literally 3 or 4-0 going into the break. And I thought he made some really good saves. But he's always going to be marked down on that second goal that we did concede yesterday. And he got a strong hand to it, which wasn't the greatest free kick in the world and really should have kept it out.
Yeah, it has to be saving that. I'm sorry. It wasn't anywhere near the corner, very near the centre of the goal. Got a really good palm on it. It wasn't like he got his fingertips. He got a solid palm on that free kick. Should have been keeping it out. And unfortunately, that does, for me, overshadow what was a decent performance overall. I mean, he made some good saves. Nothing that I don't expect him to make, but still has to make the saves, and fair enough. I don't think he could have done much with the first goal as well, but I think that second goal really did cost us, in my opinion, so gets marked down for it.
Yeah, and especially at that point in the game as well, where the momentum was building for Spurs, and you really thought that, you know, if we could have just got that free kick away, we could have got something out of the game, to be honest, with the good work that he did do in the first half. So he has to be marked down for that goal that we did concede. But let's move on. Let's talk about Pedro Porro now. Sim gives him a 5. I give him a 3. And I was really disappointed with Pedro, to be honest. I thought he should have done better for the first goal we conceded. I felt he should have got a lot closer to Jacob Ramsey. And apart from that, I mean, he just didn't do anything to impact the game going forward, which we saw a really good performance from him last time out. And I felt like he was a bit weak defensively. So I was actually really disappointed with Pedro Porro.
Yeah, it was a bit anonymous, unfortunately, especially in the forward line. Wasn't able to really affect the game going forward like we used to in other games. I did think he was starting to grow with it in influence in the second half when Kulusevski came on. I thought that they linked up fairly well. But I think when you have Pedro Porro, what you expect is that, you know, getting good crosses in the box, really trying to take on his fullback. Didn't see too much of that, and as you say, for the first goal, could have done a lot better. So disappointing in the end.
Moving on to Christian Romero in the centre of the back three this time for the second game in a row. We both give him a 4. And after that absolute stellar display last time out in the middle of the back three, this wasn't that. There were some good moments in there from him where he was coming in and being aggressive and making some good challenges, but I felt like his timing and his anticipation was a bit off yesterday. He had his hand in conceding both of those goals, and that second one that we did concede, giving away that free kick, was just a silly foul to make, busting in there when there was no need to do that. And I just felt like he caused a bit more harm than good yesterday.
He was given a tougher time by Ollie Watkins than he was last week, that's for sure. And Watkins, very physical striker, was drawing fouls out of him. You saw the first goal, he went to press Watkins, and Watkins was able to get a little pass around the corner, and that led to opening up the space and Villa taking the lead. And again, Watkins' ball was played into him for the second goal, for the free kick. Romero rash gives away a foul in a really dangerous area, and we end up conceding a second goal. So really poor on those instances. There was some good from Romero. I don't think it was all bad, but unfortunately, when you cost us, when you make 2 mistakes that lead to 2 goals, you got me marked harshly. So, unfortunately, Romero wasn't his fault at his faultless best like it was last week.
Yeah, let's move on to Clement Longley. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. And I actually thought Longley performed fairly well in this game, as opposed to in comparison to the other defenders. I thought he was our best defender out of the back three, albeit it didn't come with without any errors, because I thought that there were a couple of times where he was a bit sloppy on the ball and putting us under pressure a little bit. But having said that, I did think he was the best out of the back three.
Yeah, he was trying to play those passes over the top, and unfortunately for him, the timing of the runs or the timing of the pass wasn't quite there. I did think he was okay. There was a couple of occasions where Leon Bailey was getting the better of him on that right-hand side, but by and large, he was fairly stable, wasn't making the mistakes of the other defenders, and I think he was okay in the end. Was a pretty average performance, I thought, from Longley.
Yeah. Moving on to Ben Davis. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 4. Obviously played at left wing back in this game, and when you've got players at left wing back and right wing back, you really need them to really provide stuff on the ball. And I just don't think Ben Davis provided any of that yesterday. Yeah, he was combative a little bit, but I thought it was very anonymous yesterday from Ben Davis. And when you've got someone at left wing back, you need to have them in the game, and he just wasn't.
Yeah, unfortunately, he had one moment, I think, throughout the whole game he was able to get in behind the Ashley Young, and his cross was cut out very easily by Martinez. I mean, you're only doing it once a game or twice a game, and you have to make the most of it. I think when Villa are clogging up the central areas like they were, you need your wing backs to get involved in the game and get forward and be able to take people on. He wasn't able to do that. It was a very poor display on the ball from Davis. I think off the ball it was all right, but on the ball he was found wanting, and it was pretty anonymous.
Moving on to Emerson Royale, the last of the back three on the right-hand side. Sim gives him a 6, I gave him a 5. And look, I think he defended okay throughout the game, but it wasn't as good of a display as it was last week, because he really impacted that back line in a real positive manner. In the previous game. This time, I felt like he did try. He didn't try venture forward at all. On the ball, reckless a little bit, and defensively he was okay. So I mean, not much in there from Emerson.
Yeah, I think he did his role okay. On the ball, he wasn't particularly brilliant. Wasn't able to find any progressive passes forward. Wasn't really able to help out Porro. I think he dealt with Watkins and he was dealing with Ramsey fairly more effectively than the other defenders. So that was okay. But I think he was more hurt by a lot of the players around him. But I didn't mark him down too much for his performance.
Moving on to Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Sim gives him a 5, I gave him a 4. I mean, he was completely non-existent in that first half, where they really tried to dominate the centre of the pitch, and they definitely did that with him and Skip being close to non-existent, really. Second half, I thought he started the half with good energy, pressing high up the pitch, creating that chance for Harry Kane. But apart from that, I mean, I thought he was fairly anonymous, to be honest.
Yeah, as you say, created that chance for Kane, which really should have led to the equaliser. I thought he was okay for a lot of the game, but especially in the first half, completely overrun, wasn't able to get on the ball whatsoever. I think it was more a tactical problem than him himself, but he also wasn't having a great game on the ball, wasn't able to get on the ball at all, off the ball as well. He was struggling to deal with the likes of McGinn and Buendia as well. Buendia was getting in all sorts of positions and he wasn't picking him up. Second half, tried to make up for it. Should have set up the equaliser, didn't happen. Was better second half, but still underwhelming.
Yeah. And let's move on to his midfield partner in Ollie Skip. Falls all round, and he just didn't provide enough for us on the pitch yesterday. I thought, look, he was running around a lot, trying to be combative, but that's about it. That was about all that was in there for Ollie Skip. Poor on the ball, missing quite a few challenges yesterday as well, and I expect a lot more from Ollie Skip.
Yeah, got a yellow card as well. I did think he was the weaker of the pairing, to be honest, yeah. And I think he was rightfully taken off for Bissouma in the second half. I did think he was pretty much out of the game. He wasn't really impacting the game positively, and it was another poor performance from Skip, which recently he's been putting in quite a few of them.
Yeah. Harry Kane next up. 6 is all round for Harry Kane. He was our best player on the day, but to say he had a good performance is probably a bit of a stretch. I mean, he was trying. He was the only one trying to come deep, play those balls over the top where all the other players were offside consistently. He got that goal at the end to get us back in the game. Should have had a goal earlier on where, if he scores that goal in the early stages of the first half, we could have even gone on to win that game, to be fair. But look, Harry Kane, you could see the effort, you could see slight quality there, but still not good enough when you're comparing it to previous Harry Kane performances.
Yeah, I think they shackled him fairly well, in my opinion. Like, he was trying to drop deep to pick up the ball, but I think Villa were doing a really good job. I mean, it was really hard for him to turn and get those passes into Richarlison and Son. He was looking for Son time and time again, but it was very difficult for him. As you say, he had that big chance. I think he tried to be a bit too clever with the finish. He tried to give Martinez the eyes, try and send him the wrong way. Martinez read the situation, and Kane should be gobbling up those chances with his quality. We know how good he is at finishing, so he'll be disappointed with that. And then obviously he got the penalty. It was a bit too little too late, unfortunately. Nearly tried to get the equaliser. There was one moment where Perisic gets free on the left-hand side. He was completely free, but Perisic just get the pass completely wrong. Could have got the equaliser there. So was one of the more positive players, but still wasn't good enough.
Next up, Heung-min Son. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 4, and I was really frustrated. I mean, if I'm frustrated with this guy, the next guy we're going to talk about I was even more frustrated with. But Sonny, I mean, we had one game plan, was to try and feed Son and Richarlison in behind, and they just kept getting offside time and time again. I thought Sonny did beat, he did have a couple of chances, but every chance was offside. So, I mean, it's hard to read Sonny's game because every time he got the ball, he was pretty much offside. Yeah,
he had 3 one-on-ones, all of them offside, but he missed 2 gilt-edged chances. if they went to VAR reviews, obviously the one where he hit the post where he round the keeper, then he blazed one over the bar, 1-on-1, and then he actually slotted one home. But unfortunately, all three of them were offside. But at least he was trying to penetrate the Villa defence and trying to ask different questions. Unfortunately, he got the timing of the passes runs wrong. He wasn't really able to pick up the ball otherwise in deep positions, wasn't able to get on the ball and run at the Villa's defence because of how squeezed the pitch was. So the only real method was for him to run in behind, but because of Villa's high line, it was hard for him to get any luck. So unfortunately for him, was disappointing.
Yeah. Next up, Richarlison, the last of the starting 11. Threes all round for Richarlison. And another disappointing display from him, to be honest. And I think it's probably about time that Kulusevski does come into the side instead of him. But look, what you said before in the match review, the guy had 9 touches, and I think probably every single one was offside. He didn't do anything to impact the game whatsoever. And another poor display, unfortunately.
Yeah, he was shocking. The difference between him and Son was Son was trying to make runs in behind to really hurt the opposition and were just getting it wrong. Richarlison was just nowhere. Even when he was offside, he wasn't even threatening the Villa's goal. He was just absolutely anonymous, absolutely not involved in the play, wasn't able to get on the ball whatsoever. Rightly taken off on the hour mark, and it was just a pretty pathetic performance from Richarlison. I have to say, really frustrated with him.
Yeah. Let's move on to the substitutes. Yves Bissouma, shining light in the game. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. He came on and he was an absolute breath of fresh air. He kept calling for the ball, always wanting the ball, providing bits of quality as well, beating men and going forward and causing problems, asking questions. I don't think a lot of the team were maybe on the same wavelength as him when he did come on, but I liked a bright cameo from Bissouma.
Yeah, 100%. I think he was taking people on. He was playing the ball forward. He was being really progressive. What I liked about him was it wasn't just playing sideways or backwards. He was actually looking forward to try and hurt Villa, play the ball quickly. And I think he was doing really good. I was really happy with his long passes as well into space. But unfortunately, wasn't enough to kind of get us back into the game. But I think he was a shining light in what was a poor performance overall from Spurs.
And last but not least, from the substitute bench, Dejan Kulusevski. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. And he definitely provided that energy and creativity that Richarlison just wasn't adding for us. And there were a couple of times where he was getting the ball on the right-hand side, beating men. But I felt a couple of times he did take the shot on when maybe it was a better opportunity to cross the ball or find a different man. I mean, the shots that he was taking on, if he would have got those in, they would have been absolute worldies to get them in. He does have the quality to do that, but I just felt that he should be laying it off, passing it, crossing it, instead of shooting from those angles when we're in desperate need for a goal. But he definitely did provide that energy and fresh injection that we needed at the time.
Yeah, I think Moreno was having real trouble trying to deal with Kulusevski when he came on. I think he was running in behind, he was getting the ball to feet and taking him on. He was cutting inside. He had that chance where just shaved the far post when he nearly scored, which he probably should have done better with. His decision-making wasn't the best at points, as you say. Maybe he should have done little crosses into the box and rather than going for glory, which he did. Again, the quality on his end product wasn't quite there again. But at least he's taking people on and asking different questions and giving something different to what we were having before. And I thought it was a really bright cameo again from Kulusevski.
Yeah, I mean, Kulusevski showed more in the first 3 minutes of being on the pitch than Richarlison has in the past 2 games being on the pitch, let's be honest. So I think he's got to start in the next game and probably the last 2 games of the season. But let's talk about Ryan Mason now. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 4. I mean, he's got to be marked down on that first half performance because it was insipid. We couldn't find any sort of way. Unai Emery did a complete number on Ryan Mason. Yeah, it did improve in the second half a little bit, but still, I feel he needs to find different variations in our play when we're trying the same thing over and over again and it's not working. Yes, I do believe that he was completely outdone by the better manager and the better tactician on the day, but if you're going to put yourselves amongst it and be the Tottenham manager, you've got to be marked down on when you can't get it right, and I don't think he got it right yesterday. Yeah,
I think a large portion of the game was the tactics, in my opinion, and he completely got outdone. That's the fact of the matter. So if we're judging a manager's performance, getting out tactics is definitely a mark down. I did think the substitutions helped, but Emre was able to make his subs very quickly and change the situation again. And unfortunately, momentum swung back in Villa's favour and they got the second goal. So I did think he tried things to change it. He tried to get Spurs back in the game. It was a horrendous first half, and it nearly worked, but unfortunately it wasn't quite good enough on the day from Ryan Mason, so got marked down for it.
All right, so there you have it. That is our player ratings for the 2-1 loss against Aston Villa yesterday. Let me know your thoughts on our player ratings and put your ratings in the comment section below. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always,
come on you Spurs.